and welcome to the 136th episode of Redeeming the Time. I'm your host, Jacob Wells. This is my dad, my co-host, Keith Eric Wells. How you doing, Dad?
Good. How are you? Hop along.
I can now put 50% on my leg, whatever that means.
But you can't walk, right?
I can't walk without crutches, no.
Well, that would put more than 50%.
Yeah, I asked the doctor, why, like, okay, you say 50%, but I don't know what that, I don't know what that means. And they were like,
just stand there.
Yeah, I was like, I asked everybody. I asked the therapist. I asked everybody, and they said the same thing. I was just like, that doesn't. They said put your weight on a scale, and figure out what that 50% is. I was like, okay, I understand that, but when I'm walking, I don't know what that means.
Well, walking you can't, because then you shift
Exactly.
all of your weight to it.
That was my question. Like,
or
is there
more than 50? That's for sure.
So. Whatever. I can put my foot down with crutches.
And you can move it slightly now?
Yeah, I can bend it. Yeah. It's stiff. It is stiff as a rod.
So the ACL was not torn, right?
Yeah.
But the LCL was completely torn off?
It was gone. And everything else looked good.
Oh, that's great.
So I don't know if stuff was like flying around, messing up the MRI, but
yeah,
my knee's not that bad. I mean, the LCL's gone. But, like,
not that bad.
I thought it was going to be.
It's only 8 months recovery. And it's not.
They said 6.
Oh, wow.
So
very good.
It is better. So,
okay.
But, like, with the ACL, it would have been, like, the ACL is the thing. That's the one that
and it wasn't slightly torn or anything?
It was just, he said intact. So.
That's weird how just one could tear.
Honestly, like, God had his hand on it, because he said you are in the 10% that when your knee goes backward, it's typically 2 or 3 of those ligaments that are torn, and you only had 1. So you're in the 10% that only had 1. So
cool.
It still freaks me out when I think about it, though. My knee going.
So you have to use a brace the rest of your life, probably?
No. He said so with therapy, insurance covers a certain amount, and it'll cover 2/3 of those therapy sessions will get me to walk normally. And then after that, if I want to like train as an athlete, like get back to that, then, but I think if you look at me, I don't look like an athlete at all. So they were like, at therapy, I did nothing. They were like, because my leg raises, they were like, you shouldn't, like, most people don't do leg raises until like the 3rd or 4th week. That look like me or what, I don't know. And so I'm doing leg raises like it's nothing, and they were like, oh, well, we need to up your
game plan,
because athletes typically like do better, like come back better. And so, I mean, bald white guy balding, like I understand, but it was just like, yeah, we are gonna up your.
That's funny.
It's just, I'm like moving my ankle a little bit. I'm like, come on, can we like get to? But whatever.
Yeah, let's get to this. Well, like, I can't believe they're letting you bend it though. Because I mean,
when I'm sitting.
So when it's grafted, what does that mean? Does that mean it's like sewn together, or there's a screw in there? What's sewn?
Yeah, it's not. I don't have any. I don't think I have any rods.
No metal or anything like that.
So, yeah, and I'm just glued together right now. Like, there's no, like it's just glue. It's kind of crazy. Yeah. Technology.
Okay, very good.
I trust them. It doesn't make sense to me, but so.
All right. So you drove here?
I did, yeah. Since they said if I can bend my knee and get in the car and I'm not on the perks anymore, but I stopped taking perks 2 days after because.
So it's a good thing you drive an automatic.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. They said that if I was manual, I wanted, obviously, because I can't. Like I can make that motion, but not.
You can't have your leg completely straight. How'd you do that anyway?
What?
How'd you get your leg in there?
Oh, I can bend getting into it.
Okay.
So then I like push myself up.
Drive it like this. Drive
well, I'm all the way back. I'm low riding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So very cool.
It's big time now because like I can't stand not. I love driving. I figured that out.
Yeah.
I love driving.
Week and a half in the house with nothing to do. Yeah.
But also this morning, I was like getting up out of bed. I know everything takes twice as long. Just like, is it worth it? It was nice to just get up at your own pit and like not have anything.
Were you glad when I said 15 more minutes?
Well, I was already on the way.
Oh, were you?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
sorry.
No, it is what it is. It's just you're weighing everything. Like, do I take a shower? Do I not take a like all that stuff? So because showers take twice as long. And
what have you read while you've been incapacitated here?
So I haven't read as much as I thought I was gonna read because I don't know, just
didn't feel like it.
Yeah,
sure.
But the book that I have read is King Leopold's Ghost, which is basically how he got control of the Congo over the other countries and all the stuff that he did in the Congo that
not good.
Yeah. And the thing that made it's interesting to me, like the people that were being mistreated, like right now we have like after the Holocaust or something, we had witnesses of people so they were able to tell their story. Not many, or if any, were able to like actually write or tell people about it. So we're going based off of people that went as like a vacation and saw it, but then they were just muzzled because, I mean, it's the government against one person's newspaper article, you know. So eventually it got out and stuff like that, and we know enough now to write books and stuff, but just like they just went in and this is our land and see you later type of thing. So, because rubber and different things like that, they just because King Leopold he was the little brother that wanted the bigger, because the Congo is like 10 times the size of Belgium, so he was like so power hungry that it didn't matter, and he never actually went there, so it was just like he had no control and he didn't care. He just wanted the power of I own the Congo type of thing.
Sure.
So that was interesting. I read that because I wanted to know, like, how do you just claim land first of all in a different continent, and then also like where other countries went, and like Portuguese, like Mozambique speaks Portuguese, I'm pretty sure, and like the Western Africa who took control of that, because in GeoGuessr you have French like on signs and English on other signs and all that stuff. So just like where that race for Africa, who claimed what and what did they do and what did they want?
Have you gotten to the part where the Pope came in?
Yeah.
Explain that. That's actually pretty interesting. Because that actually sort of ties in.
I just got to that, so I don't.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't. Okay. Yeah, I don't know too much about it. I was also like 1:00 in the morning, so.
Okay, well, you need to report on that because that's very interesting. I don't remember all the details, so I don't want to just speak on it. Yeah. But he basically determined what half the world speaks. Yeah. By a decree that he made to these different kings.
Yeah. So that, and then I've also been watching videos of this guy that goes into different countries, like not just like European countries or the big ones. Like they go into Burundi and Rwanda and the Congo and like the poorest countries and the least traveled to countries. And it's an Australian dude, and he just goes and has an open mind, because when he went to Pakistan, he said the government is obviously corrupt and like nobody, like it's not a good situation there. But when you go to the actual like highlands of Pakistan and the mountains, and you go to their villages, and he was there for 5 days, and he got invited to 4 different dinners with a family. So like you go into this country thinking that this is terrible, but like the people are great. So that's how he describes it. So he went into Burundi though, and it was not. And he will never go back. Like, he was just getting hassled and taken advantage of because he had money. So,
that was the way. So on our the Holy Land trip in 2018, we decided you could do extensions. So we did a 3-day extension down into Egypt. It's like, okay, we're here. We're on this side of the world. It's a little more money, and we get to see the pyramids, that type of thing. And I mean, they took us into Cairo and down to Memphis, and they nickel and dimed us to death.
Yeah.
Every time you walked into somewhere, they had their hand out.
Yeah.
I mean, and I'm not talking people that were beggars. I'm talking
everybody.
Just the government. When we got to the airport, they wouldn't let us through their TSA
until you paid.
And our guy came. They kept saying, "Oh, these are too many bags. We can't do this." It's like, this is your job.
Yeah.
And our guide came back and he said, "Give me $50 for the group." I'm like, "What?" He goes, "If you want to get through here, give me $50."
Yeah.
And I don't know if he got a kickback from that himself, but we got through. But at that point,
the type of thing.
Yeah, at that point, it was the last day of the trip, and I'm like, I'm gonna do anything to get out of here. I was so done with that culture.
Yeah.
I mean, you went into the bathroom. There was a lady there, whatever coin it was, just so you could have toilet paper.
Yeah.
It's like, come on, people, this is ridiculous.
That guy agrees with Cairo. He said, "I'll never go back to Cairo." Like, Cairo. The pyramids are cool, but like,
the city itself was an armpit. Yeah. I mean, it was just there's certain spots where they have for tourists because that's what brings the money in. But
But so the thing that got him was the taxi drivers. So it was like $15. They didn't have gas in Burundi. Like it was $15 per liter. So taxi drivers, they were like, "No, I need," like, they agreed on a price like 20, whatever it was, or whatever. Yeah. And they were like, "Okay, well, like, that's the agreement." But when they got to they were like, 20 is not enough. Every single time he went on a taxi, and he was there for 3 days, every single time. And he was like, "No, we agreed on 20. And he's an experienced traveler, so like he didn't get, it's like, "No, we agreed on 20. See you later." Like, and they were like, no, not enough. Like, that's small. It was like, holy cow, that would get annoying, just like it did for you. Like,
that would get old. Yeah, I remember them going across the street. There was like a tributary into the Nile, and they just dumped their garbage right over. And I was just like, this is, how do you live this way? This is crazy.
Also with the,
I mean, it's not like it was a bigger city than other big cities that we'd been in. I mean, you look. When, like, where Brother Salman lives in Thailand, that's an extreme. Bangkok is an extremely busy city, and it's huge, busy and clean. I mean,
they make sure it is.
Well, they make sure it is.
Yeah. The currency exchange too, like, if you want a better price, you gotta go to the black market. So like, there's a street where the taxi, he asked somebody, "Where do I get," like, because he knows how to do it now because he's done it. Like,
oh wow, how to not get ripped off though.
He's in the taxi, gives the money to the taxi driver. The taxi driver gives it to somebody. They give him a stack. Then they count it, and then they said, "Okay, we're good." And then they needed more.
They take their cut.
Yeah. Then they needed more, and he's like, "Oh no, I took you to 2 places, so I need more." Like that, it's everything. Yeah, I couldn't do it, but
yeah, you could. You just wouldn't like it.
But yeah, I guess I want to choose to do it.
Yeah, you wouldn't choose to do it.
So this guy, I want to go to, I want to travel, but I obviously probably never going to go to Burundi. So it's cool to have somebody that did it, and I can like live vicariously through his experience.
We need to have Jonathan on sometime to let him tell not just his vision of where he's doing, but some of those stories. So when Jonathan Matthews first went to São Paulo, Brazil, it's the opposite of what it is here, where like it's changed a little bit. Right now, as you start to do better in life, you move out to the suburbs, right? Most people, if you live downtown, it used to be this way. There's more people living downtown, but it used to be it was rough to live downtown, and then as you did better, you moved out to the suburbs. It's the opposite there. You've seen that, where the poorest of the poor live on the outskirts of the town.
And slums.
Literal slums or government housing. And as you do better in life, you move toward the center of the city. And so those areas start to get controlled by basically, they're not mobsters, but they're gang leaders. And one guy will have a control over an area. And where they were, it was like a hand where all five fingers led to the center, and that's where the train station was, because there were the natural hills that were there. And one of the fingers basically that they lived on was controlled by one guy, and then the next, that kind of thing. And someone stole his car in their first couple years they were there, but it was stolen by someone within his area. So like if it would have been stolen by the one of the hills next to it, that would have been gone. Yeah. But since it was in their area and that guy knew that Jonathan was doing good, for him, he didn't see it as the gospel. He saw it as, they're helping people in our area, so they're one of us type thing. He notified the guy, and the guy went and made them bring the car back.
I've never heard that story.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so to live in that kind of life is, you're thinking differently. It's just a different world.
No, you're not able to just walk in your neighborhood without thinking, like constantly being aware. Like you can't just drop your guard.
Yeah, that's where businesses are paying a little bit for protection money, that kind of crazy stuff. Jonathan would never do, when they'd have their hand out like, this could go a little faster if you give me a little, he would never do it. But it's always there in your mind, what's going on around you.
Yeah.
Who did I offend?
Yeah.
That type of thing.
So one of the questions that came up, Callie and I were, and we can take this however far you want, but
okay.
Because we've been watching these videos together and obviously talked about it and stuff. So he talks about how in school we watched Hotel Rwanda, which was like a total civil war thing in Rwanda. And
I never saw it, but I'm familiar with it.
I kind of forget. There's two groups of people that obviously did not like each other. Then there's different countries that are in a civil war right now, or in just talking about that. Like he's okay, we can't go here right now. I was gonna go here, but they're in a civil war. Or he went to, I forget which country he went to, but it was Kenya, and I think it was Kenya, and he was like 15 years ago, this street was, you could not walk down it or you were going to get shot by both sides, like that type of thing.
Okay.
Like this is
Sudan's that way right now.
Yeah, so I think Sudan, whatever.
South Sudan's not, Sudan is.
Okay, so that just opened my mind. Like what the heck? Because we've never obviously we had a civil war in the 1800s, but the idea of our country going into a civil war, how would that I don't think that's even possible in the United States.
You don't think it's possible?
How would it work? Because Civil War in 1800s was North versus South, and
now it would be the two coasts over the inside.
But there's people that are. Would the people in Cincinnati that are pro whatever coast go over to the West Coast?
Yeah, I don't know how that would work either. But
or would
somebody just did a movie on that. It had Kristen. What's her name? MJ from the original Spider-Man movies. Dunst, I think, is her last name. Yeah, she just had it. That came out at the beginning of the year. I forget. But it showed America going into civil war.
I don't.
Well, I don't know how it would. Yeah, with a superpower, I don't know how it would work because our military is so robust. I mean, we're the largest military in the world. Whoever owns the government, I mean, because it's so interconnected. You couldn't like, well, I took Ohio's National Guard and I could, that I don't see how that could work.
Yeah, because like obviously the southern states in the Civil War and like the United States Civil War, they were one group,
right?
And there was a divide there of North versus South, and that clear lines drawn there. There is no line like that, I don't think, because there's people in the West Coast that are pro East Coast stuff, and
if you look at
it's more cities rather than just.
If you look at the map right now, every metropolitan area, we'll just go Republican, Democrat for lack of a better, or red, blue. Every and this isn't being political on that. I'm just making a point with it. Every metropolitan area went Democrat, and almost the rest of the country went Republican.
Yeah.
Used to be Cincinnati was the only city in Ohio, but we've lost that. We lost, the Democrats have got all the judges now and even the prosecutor's office. So even that's changed in downtown. I don't know how that would work when you have a state the size of Ohio, and you've got the three major cities that are all.
Is it the farmlands versus the cities?
Yeah, leaning one way, and whoever owned the military, you would think would win. However, everybody outside of those, they have guns.
Yeah.
And but they're not going to stand up against a helicopter and tanks and drones and all that kind of stuff. So
even then, the idea,
but
just whoever has the helicopters, are they just going to go to a random farm and just start attacking?
The military themselves, I mean, other than following their leadership, they are conservative, and the majority of them are conservative as well, except for some of the top leadership. So you've got this whole conundrum of how that would work.
Because you're not just going to see cities, everyone just bunkering down in their home. That's not going to happen. So that's why I don't think there could be that's why I think
it would be
the political thing, that is the war that we have, because it's just ideas. Because a civil war like that, it doesn't make sense in my head of actually, because my neighbor, or I don't know, one of my neighbors could be on the other side. Does that mean we just start fighting? That does. I'm sure my neighborhood is split to a certain extent.
Well, sure.
So does that mean my neighborhood is like a microcosm of the war and we're just fighting? But how do I know who's who? Do you have to declare for one side or whatever? That doesn't.
When it's intermixed in I don't know.
So we were just thinking about that, because civil wars in Sudan or whatever, I don't know how that works either, but there's a clear power struggle, and but do they know who's on what side, or what does that look like? So
in today's modern warfare, with the way the military, that would be the defining factor for me. I don't know.
So
okay, so you want to move on to something that we actually do know what we're talking about a little bit?
I just think there is a transition here of the civilization here. There was easier points of divide that we see, and obviously with the religiously, we're going to talk about that, but you had kingdoms and you had that type of thing. So you had the Holy Roman Empire. There was a border there, and it was, you had different castles, different kingdom, different, I don't know what they called it, feuds, I guess. Mm-hmm. Does that make no, that's not the right.
Fiefdoms.
Yeah, whatever. So, I don't know. I think with that type of civilization, it was easier to control people than it is.
Oh, sure.
Obviously,
they couldn't move. I mean, most people hadn't moved outside of their.
And the person out on the farm, that person out on the farm doesn't have internet like they do now.
Yeah.
To be okay, what's actually going on with so and so? So they're just They're just going with whatever the powers are doing. So
control of information is always been one of the defining factors. So, and that's actually what we're going to see today. I'm going to call this the pre-Reformation. We're looking at the 1300s verse up through the 1500s, and a couple things start to occur here today. We're going to see the popes have overplayed their hands, for lack of a better term, and the whole absolute power corrupting absolutely has occurred, and people are starting. There's several factors that start to cause this to occur, but they had forced these kings to submit, launching all the crusades, and then the Lateran different councils that they had. But this is a pretty dramatic change in human history that occurs here, and there's a decline based on what was going on with the kingdoms. There was a decline in the German kingdoms, so the Pope had major power over those German kings. Well, that era is ending because the Normans had come in and taken France, and they're rising to power. So there's this switch in the secular power that's going on. And then we also start to have a middle class start to rise up. So you've got these wealthy middle class people that are developing trade routes, and when there's money, the merchants and the traders, people become more dependent on each other, and then they do kings and popes. So that's, to me, that's a major difference. These trade routes will start to come through, and we could talk about some of those, but I'd rather get to some other things later. But everything from Venice to up through to England and going into Russia and all of those types of things, these trade routes start to open up, and that becomes where a lot of influence, because with money comes influence. And then finally, what we're actually seeing a little bit more of today is the rise of nationalism. We've seen a rise of that in the United States. We've seen that in South America. We've seen that in Europe lately. But people finally start to think, hey, I'm from France. I'm a Frenchman. I'm a German. I'm an Englishman. That type of thing. We're not just part of the Holy Roman Empire, and those types of things start to play into the mind of who people are, and once again, popes losing leverage in that. Go ahead.
You can see that in even the World Cup. You're a Brazilian fan, or you're a Brazil fan, or what?
Yeah.
Everything plays off of that now.
Right. Yeah.
But that's within religious, that has a different. That's not soccer, but
yeah. So this really starts to come to a head at the end of the 1200s, 1294. We have Pope Boniface VIII, and this is where they really this switch in power. He's still trying to play by the rules that he basically set up, and the popes prior to him set up, and he's trying to mediate a quarrel between France and England, and both of them we don't care what you say, and they both defy it. They do some other things about taxation of priests and churches and things like that, and he puts out this I'm not going to pronounce this right.
Unum Sanctum.
Say it again.
Unum Sanctum.
Yeah. So it's the most extreme of all statements that a pope ever put out. All temporal governments are subject to the spiritual government that is at Rome. The pope has the right to judge all kings and princes. Every human creature must be subject to the pope in order to be saved.
Yeah.
So Philip's response in France is he takes the bull, the paper, that this says, and he burns it in front of Notre Dame Cathedral. That's pretty, like in public. He's not hiding this. All right,
statement. Yeah.
He then he sends troops. They capture and humiliate him, and he dies. And the famous quote, a historian epitaph of Pope Boniface VIII: "He entered like a fox, reigned like a lion, died like a dog." So the papal authority from that point starts to decline, and the next they move, they leave because of that, because they were captured in Rome. He was captured in Rome, and they're in Avignon in France. The next 7 popes will stay there. This is known as the Babylonian captivity of the papacy, from 1309 to 1378, which is very interesting. This is really damages the credibility of the Pope and the whole system during the medieval ages, and not even just because they were there, but because of when they were in France. I guess they did like Frenchmen do. I don't know, but they that's actually horrible to say, but they became very corrupt while they were there. Not all Frenchmen are corrupt. I don't mean it that way, but they were.
That's the saying of that time.
Yeah. Greed, extortion, simony, a bunch of immorality of those, and this was the situation. The 100-Year War begins between England and France, 1337, 1453, with the Normans, and I won't go into all of that, but this occurs during that time. So
the Pope being the Church in Rome, that's obviously, like you said, it's not just because they were in Rome, but that is one of the things of, okay, you're whoever the bishop of, what is it, St. Peter?
Yeah.
Is that St. Peter's Cathedral?
Yeah.
Is that what it is?
In Rome, yeah.
Yeah, so like that was who decided who the Pope was, right? Like that's essentially
the cardinals would vote on that,
and whoever the bishop of that church, of that cathedral is the Pope. So if they're not being the bishop
not
of
actually
that,
there, yeah,
then there's a problem there.
Yeah. So the last of those 7 popes that was in Avignon in France. Now we have the Great Schism of the Papacy in 1378. This begins. So he returns to Rome, Gregory the 11th, in 1377. He dies in 1378, and now we have one of the craziest things that will go on in Catholic history.
It reminds me of like the Roman emperors. Of when they,
it's exactly
go off,
like that.
Like when there was a year that had 4 emperors and that type of thing. It's the same thing, just with the Pope.
Yeah, we have 2 different guys saying they have it. So Pope Urban the sixth, he's elected in Rome, and he tries to restore the papacy in Rome, but he's very ruthless in that. So the French cardinals, they leave, they withdraw, and they elect their own pope, Clement the seventh, and he's in Avignon. So we've got 2 popes, and they're fighting against each other. 2 different colleges of cardinals. England decides to take side. Europe decides to take sides. England, they side with, they're at war with France, so they're obviously not going to follow Clement. They're going to follow Urban. I'm not saying that right. I never say that right. Scotland, they don't like England, so they go with Clement. And Scandinavia, Spain, Italy, Austria, Germany, they're all just following different guys.
So this is what I found this interesting.
Yeah.
So both popes are like hurling anathema. Is that what it's called? Which are curses. Yeah. So both popes are doing that.
It's not just a curse. It's like when you throw that, you are cursed, meaning you cannot.
Eternal damnation.
You have eternal damnation.
So I like
they believe they have the ability to do that to someone, but yeah.
So I like the question here, where if both of them are doing that, the one in Avignon and the one in Rome, if they're both doing that and they both feel like they have the power, which one's correct?
Who's right? Who's right and who's wrong?
Are they both able to do it?
Do you have that power? They're both doing it to each other? Yeah, it's just.
AKA neither of them have that.
Yeah. So both popes, they're devastating. They're devastating the Catholic Church by doing all this. So finally, this is even funnier. So then, in 1409, the cardinals of both popes come together. They want to solve this problem. This is the Council of Pisa. So the little town of Pisa, just outside of Florence, and they elect Alexander V. But the two other popes don't step down. So
we had three popes.
We got three popes at the exact same time. And I love the terms. The terms were used: the Pope, the one that was in Rome, the anti-pope, the one in Avignon, and then the counter-pope was the third one. So you got all three of these going on. Just nonsense. And but you could see politically how something like this was going on.
Because it was power. They had...
it's ultimate power that they felt. So finally, they have another council. Takes 5 years for this to go on after this one in Pisa fails. And they have the Council of Constance, and they depose all three of the popes, and Martin V becomes the new pope. Now, this had to have happened. They were losing. We're going to see they felt the loss of power. So that's finally what did this. You've got.
Well, if you're divided, you're not as
right.
So yeah.
They start to see this Reformation type spirit coming about with two guys we're going to talk about. I don't want to use their name yet. And then there's an invasion from Turkey that's going on. There's all these different wars that are going on throughout Europe as well. So it was a need for this to occur. So the schisms finally put to rest, and they elect Martin V. The Council of Basel in 1447, they secure the election of Nicholas V, and they're back to what they were. All right, so let's go on to the pre-Reformation reformers, because this is what I really wanted to talk about today. But we needed to get to that situation. Do we know why this was occurring?
It's like we talked about 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago. The Protestant Reformation didn't just happen because Luther came up with the idea and just like, oh, I'm going to do this, and then everything unraveled from there. It was everything that happens like that is a build-up from other people and all this stuff. So
you've got these pre-Baptistic type churches that are never part of the church. Some of them were part and broke off. Some by the Catholic Church, pardon me. You've got all these different things. You've got political pressure. You've got inside fighting, like we just saw there with the schism, where it opens people's eyes. I mean, you look at today's in the past 10 years, or really 15 years, you've seen this massive corruption where they've just taken priests that have done, abuse type situations and swept it under the rug and just put them in a different parish. Or people look at that and they're like, I can't be part of this anymore. And you imagine that, times 20, and you're in this situation here.
Yeah, so from like the 12th century up until the 15th century, 100 years before the Protestant Reformation or whatever.
Right, yeah, sure.
Like there was that happening of people opening, like eyes being opened up to this corruption and stuff like that. So
and one of the major ones is what we're going to talk about.
Yeah, so these people, obviously there's more than just these people, but these are the ones that are well known here.
Yeah.
So let's talk about him.
Okay. I want to speak about 3 or 4 guys here. There's a lot of anti-establishment preachers that are starting to speak out in the latter part of the Middle Ages. And the first one is a guy named Arnold of Brescia, I guess is how you would say that. He's considered a medieval Baptist group. This isn't a guy you're going to hear about that often. He was a student of Peter Abelard, so by student I mean he read his materials. He didn't like sit under him or anything, but he believed in apostolic purity and simplicity. He denied the sacraments of the Eucharist. He denied baptism of infants. Believed in the separation of church and state. Denied the papal supremacy and believed in baptism of people after they had come to Christ. He saw all of the opulence and extravagance that was going on, the extortion, and he rejected all of that. So he was preaching. He finally had to move to like Switzerland and France, different areas there, and he was eventually arrested, hanged, burnt in Rome, and his ashes were scattered over the river there. So that's another one of the guys that you'll see. I don't hear him spoke about. He was in Italy.
I did not know his name.
Yeah, that's one that's sort of low on the radar. But
he was earlier than these other guys.
Yeah, so. One more guy that's just constantly chipping away, and that's what occurs. And then we get one of the major names.
And Arnold was in the 12th century. 11th and 12th, and then we're into
now we're into 1300. Yeah, 1300, the 14th century, and we have John Wycliffe, his title.
Wycliffe is like.
Yeah,
I knew that.
You
name
know
as
that
a
name.
kid,
Yeah, sure. Like, Bible translation, you think Wycliffe, the Wycliffe translation.
Because the Yonics in Peru, they're a part of the Wycliffe.
Yeah,
like
right.
That. Yeah,
and it all stems from this man. He's known as the Morning Star of the Reformation. So he's not in the Reformation himself, but he is one of those guys that he heralds it. And herald's not even the right word. He is part of the structure that allows those types of things to occur. This one man that stands alone. Here's one famous song that was written. Wycliffe striking the spark, Huss kindling the coals, we'll get to him, and Luther brandishing the lighted torch. The progression goes along and is exact in there. So he's in Yorkshire, England in 1320. He attended Oxford. Yes, the same Oxford that is around today.
It's crazy.
Yeah. He was
same time as like the Aztecs and the Incas. Oxford. That blows your mind a little bit.
That does blow your mind. He's lecturing there. He's finally lecturing, and he's there. He's living during this power struggle between England and the Pope, and he becomes a very vocal supporter of people against the Pope. And for 11 years, he engages in this political and eschatological type warfare going on. He gives all these lectures in Oxford. Well, what happens in these, we see the scholasticism and all that type of stuff, is now those things are being written down and they make their way into mainland Europe, and people are talking about them. He gets invited and he goes over and he starts to speak. And what happens to college-aged young men when they start to hear these things?
Yeah.
They're at the prime time of their life for God to speak and open their hearts. That's why I always want young men to go on mission trips, and young ladies to go on mission trips at that age, because it changes your heart and mind. It starts to set the course of everything your parents have put in you when you're young. Now it ignites it and allows you to go. And that's what's happening here. So he becomes a problem to the Catholic Church. And in 1382, they expel him for denying the Catholic doctrine. And he has, now most people don't know this.
No, because we're always thinking about the 95 Theses of Martin Luther.
Right, that he nails to the door there in Wittenberg.
But Wycliffe had the same
similar
things.
Type thing. Yeah, he has 19 heresies that he writes down. And, he denies the indulgences. I'm not going to read all these, but...
it's the main ones.
Salvation by works. He's talking about that. Prayer for the dead. Celibacy. I had not seen one added there for this. Clerical celibacy promotes sodomy. I'd never seen that one before that they were talking about that. I mean, we look at that today and we see that problem. Church's priesthood is not established by Christ. Transubstantiation, I don't know. Did we talk about that?
Yeah.
Yeah, we talked about that. He even called it idolatry. I found that very interesting. So he's doing this. Luther doesn't do this till 1517. This is going on in 1377. So these aren't new ideas by the time Luther's coming around. And that's not taking away from that.
Yeah.
But he's putting the kindling together. And sorry. Go ahead.
He's striking the spark.
Yes, right. Yes. So the biggest thing that most people would know is John Wycliffe was his translation of the Bible
into
the English language. Now it's not the finalized one that we have, but it's the work that is being started here, and it's the way we start. You want people to start following the Lord and not following an institution. Get them the Word of God. Teach them how to read.
Yeah.
And that's what's going on here. He truly believed in the authority of Scripture. Now, his New Testament was translated in 1380. His Old Testament was translated from the Latin Vulgate, which is, I would consider that a corrupt version, and he translates it into what would be considered Middle English. We wouldn't be able to read Middle English very much.
No, we wouldn't understand it.
So it's not all the way there yet, but it is the start of this, and copies are having to be made by hand, so it's very expensive. In fact, in Landmark's documents on church history, he has a quote that said that people were paying a load of hay for the privilege of borrowing a Wycliffe Bible for 1 hour. They were cherishing the Word of God, like when we're in Peru, and I see that lady hugging her Bible because she had it in her language and she could read it for the first time, and it's just we have no idea how precious the Word of God is. Now he has some other things, like he included the Apocrypha still in there. There's those extra biblical books between the Old and the New Testament. The Catholic Church considers them part of Scripture. Mainline Christianity does not. The pseudepigrapha, I never can say that for it. Pseudepigraphal. Thank you.
Pseudepigraphal.
Yes, thank you. Extra ones as well. Sometimes I can say it, sometimes I can't. So that was included in there as well. So he starts to do things, like I said, it starts to go into the universities in Europe. He establishes a group. This is interesting. He establishes a group of itinerant pastors. So they're not in cars. These are dudes that are
walking around,
riding on horses. They'll have a circuit, and they're going throughout England and as pairs, and they're teaching from the English Bible. So you've got coal miners. You've got people that are farmers, and they're hearing the Word of God in English for the first time. Most people think he was instrumental in bringing revival to the Waldenese that we mentioned a couple weeks ago. And then obviously what he did in translation work would go on to promote and influence future translators as they get to the word to what we have today. So when he dies, the Council of Constance, which is after he's dead, so 44 years later, they want to make a point that they disagree with him so much that they dig up his bones, they judge and condemn him, like he's dead, all right? They burn his dead body, and they scatter his remains as well. Scatter his ashes over the river as well. And I love this. One writer said, "And thus the ashes of Wycliffe are the emblem of his doctrine, which now is dispersed the world over, trying to unpreach the word of God by burning a dead man's bones."
The other big thing that Wycliffe did is that he influenced another guy. That is Wycliffe and this guy are the two that I really knew. I didn't know
this dude's
Arnold
cool
guy. But John Huss, or Hus, however you say it.
It's German, so yeah. The goose.
Yeah, he was the goose. So there's a disc golfer whose name is Gossage, and so he's the goose. So that's.
I grew up in the '80s, so mine's that was the wingman for.
Oh yeah.
For Maverick. Goose.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, one of the. If you ever read any church history, you're going to read about John Huss. I mean, he's the guy that really sets the fire. Pardon the bad pun, but
this is like 100 years before.
Yes, this is 102 years exactly before Martin Luther, and he is the guy in the same region. I think that's probably why, almost to the exact time he has this precision. He makes this declaration that the Reformation really held on to. I don't know how much of that was Luther really using it to prime the pump, but nonetheless. So he's the fruit of this in Bohemia or the Czech Republic today, or Czechia today, that Wycliffe's work really started to come about. So he was a Catholic priest, and he worked at the University of Prague. He's heavily influenced by John Wycliffe when he's getting his master's degree, but he comes to Jesus Christ, and he starts to see that the Lord is the head of the church and not the Pope. And he starts preaching this. And apparently he wasn't just like reading it. He's a fiery preacher, the terms that I read. And he's preaching sermons not just from the Word of God, but against Rome as well. And he has the Lollards, and he adopts the teachings of Wycliffe, and he starts exalting Scripture above purgatory and worship of saints and all of those ordinances. And he agrees with all those people we spoke about a couple weeks ago, the Petrobrusians and the Waldenese and Henricians and all that. And he had gotten in good with some of the nobility in England, and they start to protect him as he's doing these things, which, for them, that's taking power away from the Pope and giving more power to them. So yeah, they're gonna. It's helping them. So we can't look at them as like, oh, they're just noble people that. Pardon the use of the word noble again, but just because of their warm heart toward him, it helped them. But he attacks the corruption. He also has a list of things, the false doctrine in Rome that he speaks out against. Once again, very interesting that that's how this is done. And he is a direct challenge to this papal system. And that starts to become an issue. So at that same Council of Constance, where they dug up Wycliffe's body, they burn him. They excommunicate him at first in 1410 by orders of the counter-pope during the three. Then he goes into Prague. They're protecting him, and the Pope tells the counter-pope, during the three-pope time, he puts this interdict that says, okay, the people of Prague don't get the sacraments. So they think if they don't have the sacraments, they're going to hell. So they at first don't listen, and they protect him, but eventually it wins over, and he's summoned by this council in 1414 of Constance, and in 1450 he's burned at the stake. They tell him he's going to be safe, but nonetheless he isn't. And this is the famous thing. He has these famous last words. He says this: "You are going to burn a goose, but in 100 years you will have a swan, which you can neither roast nor boil." And that's the whole thing. Where
that's Luther 102 years later.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So that's the famous quote, or some people would call it maybe even a prophecy of what was to come. And maybe so. I don't know. Yeah. I mean, it definitely one of the major things that changed the course of the world that occurs there. But this was building up. I had always heard, and every class I've ever taken on church history, they've always said that the phrase that we have, "your goose is cooked," came from this. And so you might have heard that too. But as I researched it, there's not a lot to go on that says that that's actually true. Most people say it was more of a phrase in England where you used to go, if you had a massive bird, people wouldn't have ovens large enough for that. So you would actually pay to go down to, whatever shop, and they would
cook your goose.
They would cook your goose is cooked. That. So, but it does make for a good story.
Yeah.
But that's probably not accurate. Yeah. So that means hus means goose. So yeah, exactly 102 years later, on October 31st, 1517. We see Martin Luther nailing his 95 Thesis to the...
Another fiery guy, just like us.
Yeah, well, that's next week. We won't talk about him right now.
There are similarities between the two.
Yeah, so that's a good read. If you ever want to read more about him, I would encourage him and Wycliffe are top-notch. They're world-changing men. That's so stupid. That's a dumb statement.
We're talking about them 500, 600 years.
Yeah, I mean, they changed the course of the world. They really did. You wouldn't have many of the things that we have. There's another guy if you want to look at in Italy. He's in Venice. If you've ever watched anything on what's the name of that family? The ones that...
Medici?
The Medici family, yeah. They ran into major problems with this guy named Jerome, but he was not Baptist at all. He was just a
Savonarola.
He was a priest in the city of Venice. He did most likely bring many people to repentance, but it had become the Medicis were
they paid for everything.
They were the finance arm of the Pope. Actually became the Pope in some situations and putting people in positions. So they had a lot of power over that city, kept the city from being destroyed, but he came out against that, and a lot of different things went on there. So he's not a Baptist hero by any means, but interesting. During that time, he was doing some things as well.
So as we go into next week, there's certain things that not just happen. Like if you look at it from a bird's eye view, and you're going into the Reformation, there's 5 or 6 things that were occurring that we've been talking about, but major themes that have been occurring over the last 400 years, going into the 16th century. And the big, here they are. One of them that we've been talking about a bunch today is the failure of the papacy. Yeah. So you have the whole 2-pope, 3-pope where is the Pope, who's excommunicating who, like that type of thing.
Like a game show.
Well, from a bird's eye view, it does look like what's going on. Like,
sure,
it just baffles me that something so serious was just.
Well, that's why. I mean, because it was so serious. Yeah.
So you have the failure of that and people's eyes being open to that. Then you have the scholasticism, and you can talk about that a little bit, but like the fall of scholasticism.
It starts, that starts to fall apart a little bit. All these different dissenting groups come about.
Like we've been talking about, where you just have, it's not just what the Pope says or what the church says. You have these people that are
questioning
going against it.
Yeah.
Then you have, in history, you have the Renaissance that came about. And so there's a lot that goes on in the 14th.
That would have been a nice thing to talk about, but we don't really have time.
The 15th century.
The world is opening up, 1492.
Columbus sailed the ocean blue.
Yeah, you've got that Magellan, so the world is opening up.
Like the Eastern Hemisphere over the entire world.
Things are coming in. The world is opening up. There's this revival of learning that's going about in the world, which then leads to, we have literature starting to become something that is circulated. People like Chaucer and Dante and things of that start to come about during this time. So all of this is leading. Now, I think the biggest one is the next one that we've written down here, and
Gutenberg.
Yeah,
they invent the
printing
press, which
that changed
for us. We can't. It
is the world changer.
We have to put ourselves in the mind of someone that had never read anything and never had more than 1 hour, maybe, after giving a bale of hay to somebody with the Bible. You go from that to now, because we can mass produce these things, I could have not just one Bible, I could have a bunch of other books in my own home, and it's mine. Yes. So they're not having to give hay to get an hour of the Bible. They can just go down in their basement and read it.
Yeah, the closest thing to that was, in my lifetime, would be the internet.
Yeah.
And it has changed my world. I mean, everyone around me, we now have access to. They had access to a book. Yeah. Now we have access to all books. Yeah. And then you closely connect that then to, after the internet, then smartphones, to where now I have that with me at all time.
Yeah.
You just, that type of mentality as you look.
The Brady Shearer guy, he says that like the internet and he said social media and that whole industry is the biggest change in communication since the printing press. So
that's I would agree.
So imagine for the people that knew what life was like before the internet, because I don't really know. I didn't understand.
You
I've
weren't
always
born
had
yet.
the internet. So imagine.
Say that again.
Huh?
Say that line again, because the people that are older than you want to hear you.
The people that. So you remember what? I've never not known the internet.
Right.
So if you did know,
it's the water you swim in.
If you do remember life before the internet, imagine that same thing happening at a different scale, obviously, but that same thing happening in the 1400s with not just books, but the Bible being printed at a rapid pace. It's the same thing that happened.
It changed
and
everything.
Now, so from there, that just didn't change. That changed culture. That changed the world. It changed it not just religiously, but in a lot of different aspects, because now the farmer can actually learn about anything, and whatever was printed, but that it opened the world up. Yeah,
it's a game changer.
So that is,
of all those other things, that's the big
one.
So the last person I want to talk about today is Erasmus, considered the greatest of the Renaissance scholars. and he is known for assembling the Greek New Testament that is used. So he finds the most credible sources of this. He assembles what's known as the Textus Receptus. That's what the King James Bible was translated from, and he changes the world with this. William Tyndale will use this Greek New Testament to do his translation. The King James Bible, I believe, is like 95% William Tyndale's version. We'll talk about him more next week. But, Erasmus is the one, what's the phrase there? Erasmus laid the egg that Luther hatched, right? So he is the underlying text that's used for the Bible that we use today. And he sets the groundwork for that. And one interesting thing as you look at this is, yes, we'll read about Luther and the Reformation, and Luther is reading something that Erasmus had put to where he could read. Yeah. So when Luther is saved from reading Romans, he would not have had that without what Erastus did. So he's a major changer in that. When we talk about Bible translations, he'll be one that we'll speak about a lot. But I wanted to end with him. So. Yeah. Anything else?
Because that sets up those things that we just talked about. Set up what happened in the 16th century.
There's
16th century.
4 major guys that we'll talk about in that, and that'll be it. I don't know if we'll get all those in 1 week.
Probably not.
That's a lot. We would really high skim that, but nonetheless. Okay.
If you rearrange the letters of postmen, they get very angry.
That's bad. That's a bad one.
I saw that on the internet.
Okay. Very good. Well, you guys, that was a lot today, and appreciate those that have followed along. I really enjoyed having Brother Gary. And
a lot of people are enjoying it.
Yeah. Good day. So if you missed last week's, Brother Gary Jackson gave his testimony and shared his heart, and
both of you were crying.
I mean,
your decades of serving together.
I miss serving with him and Brother Rick quite a bit. They just wonderful men, taught me a lot, and it was a good team. So I'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
All right.
I went home after, and it was like over under whatever number to Callie and how many times they cried. I loved it. I enjoyed it a lot. I don't have that, like, the bond that you two have. Like, I'm not in that bond. So
yeah. He just was extremely kind to me. I didn't even mention this story, but when I was in college, and I think I was in Indianapolis for the summer. I had to take a couple courses to get. Normally was up in West Lafayette, but I went to Indy to take care of some courses before my senior year, and he wasn't pastor yet. He was still working for the printing company that he did, and he took me to dinner.
Yeah.
And I mean,
you remember that?
Yeah, I was like 19. I was probably 19 years old by that time, and then another one when he was being voted on to be pastor. Prior to that, we went on the first adult mission trip out to Gallup, New Mexico, and I can remember on the flight home, he got up, or I got up, I forget which one, and we sat down together, and he just started, here's what I feel God calling and to do, and what we can do here at Friendship, and just starting to build that bond.
Yeah.
And he's top notch.
Yep.
Forever welcome. So you guys have a great week, and we'll talk to you next week. Love you. Bye.